Scandal. All right. Our webinar is now live and people are coming in. Oh my goodness. People are, oh my gosh.
We're being trampled.
This is terrifying. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Find your seats.
Please, in a calm and orderly manner.
Yeah, please. No shoving as you enter the presentation.
We see you.
We'll get started in just a few moments. We're going to give everybody a chance to come on in.
We're coming to the pre-show.
Yeah, this is the pre-show.
Right.
Where we get to do the systems and sound checks. So.
And finish my grapes.
There you go. Yes.
A peek behind the curtain.
If this is
in 3 hours.
Yes, yeah. I think people are gonna love your Done Not Symposium, so this will be good.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Again, welcome everybody. We'll get started in just a few moments. But before that, first of all, if you have been attending Comic Fest this week, I hope you all have been having a great time. I know it's a little different this year. We're all socially distanced. That means we can't touch Brian, which is probably a good thing, because then it just starts getting awkward. I mean, says you, right?
Right. Speak for yourself.
Pretty much how this is going to work tonight. If you've already participated in our previous panels and you kind of know how it works, for those just joining us for the first time, I will introduce our speaker and then basically just turn it over to him, and stick around afterwards because we will be raffling off some prizes. In fact, why don't I just go ahead and show them what they win. Don Pardo. All right, so we have some lovely prizes today. We have 2 graphic novels, A Thief Among Trees and Welcome to Wonderland. But we're also going to be giving away a Brian Kesinger print. One of my favorites, I think, for any WandaVision fans out there. Brian, you did this delightful mashup of the Haunted Mansion portraits with the WandaVision characters. What was the hardest one to put together?
Oh, great question. Because the hardest one for me was Wanda, because I didn't know what in-show element to have her walking over. So one of the Haunted Mansion is a crocodile, and I didn't know what to replace it with. And I was racking my brain, and had to call in a favor. Had to use my lifeline, as they would say. Do you want to be a millionaire? And call my friend Laura, who is the writer's assistant on the show. And sorry, I dropped that name right there.
So Hollywood.
I'll pick it up later. So it says, Laura, baby, what do I know? What should I put under there? And she wrote back almost instantly. She's like, oh, the Yo Magic yogurt chart. And I'm like, oh yes.
Which is perfect. It's brilliant. Amazing. Yeah.
Probably my favorite commercial in the episode too. Because it was actually stop motion.
That's awesome. So
that was the tricky one.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, that is one of 3 potential prizes we will be raffling off at the end of our session today. Again, don't go anywhere. And before I turn it over, what's the structure for tonight is Brian will speak. And then we will have a
you will listen,
and you will listen. You will all enjoy yourselves. And we will also do Q&A. So you should all have an option to submit some questions through Zoom. Go ahead and pop those in there, and we will pick questions for the end of the session. End of line. And yeah, so I have some stuff, but that'll be towards the end. So let me introduce you, Brian, if you don't mind.
Sure,
Uh,
enough kayaking.
but Brian, they're gonna get enough. They're gonna get a lot of it in a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
But Brian Kesinger is an Annie Award-winning story artist, illustrator, and author. His 20-plus year career at Disney has spanned both hand-drawn and CG animated films, from Tarzan to Frozen 2. In addition to Brian's film work, he has also become a celebrated author and illustrator of several books that showcase his style, wit, and ability to tell engaging stories in original ways. His artistic journey has led him to find an additional home with Marvel Comics and Lucasfilm, where he blends his animation background with the comic art form to create dazzling and expressive art. So, Brian, I turn it over to you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Any chance I get to hang out with my brother, even virtually, is so I'm happy to be here. I'm going to share my screen so we can walk through some images. It's I really just want to get to the Q&A because that's what I love. But hopefully this will maybe spark some questions. So, does everyone see this obnoxiously long title on their screen? Great, good. I'm going to take your silence as a yes. This sounds a lot more serious than it is and or will be, but it is important. And I thought it's something I haven't done yet, is kind of show my process. Just to give a little background, as Alan did, I've been fortunate enough to work in several cool studios and creative environments, working on everything from movies to books to TV shows. So it's been a great journey and education, really. I've been fortunate enough to work in animation for 25 years now, starting right out of high school. So my education is ongoing, and I think it's a big part of why I'm still able to do what I do, because I'm open to learning new things. In addition to working on major motion pictures and big TV shows, I've also had the opportunity to create my own characters, which have kind of carved out a little place for themselves, as well as my take on some more popular characters down at the bottom. You see little Kylo and little Rey there. But going clockwise, at the top, we have Otto and Victoria, two characters near and dear to me. We have Jasper J. Pumpkinhead. He's the gangly scarecrow fellow there. And in the middle, down at the bottom, is Buster and his haunted banjo. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But tonight, I want to talk about how I've taken everything I've kind of learned about telling stories and creating characters for audiences who view it in this space, and how I've transitioned that into viewers who view it in this space, right? And both are valid. Movie theaters are starting to open up again, which is really great. But there is still something to be said for people viewing content on their own time. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how I do both. And the secret is, if you follow these steps, it will kind of be evergreen, because this is not technology dependent tips, nor will it be something you should strictly follow, but it's kind of evergreen principles that work from Snow White to Frozen 2 and everything in between, really. And that's these three kind of principles, and they make up kind of a cool Venn diagram here. And it's starting with humor, emotion, and authenticity. In no particular order, other than I love humor. But these three things in combination create universal appeal that everyone, no matter the audience, can tap into, right? So starting with humor, right? All sorts of humor, from the great one panel Gary Larson comics to one of my brother and I's favorite, Anchorman there, and even memes, right? Memes are kind of the evolution of comedy, and it's something that people get right away, which is kind of cool. So humor is a big aspect. Emotion, of course, and I apologize for putting Bambi's mom up there. That's kind of a cheap shot, I know. But it's true. I mean, the emotion, everything from really heartfelt stuff to even more joyous emotions like love and friendship are all something that people can really tap into when given the chance. And lastly is authenticity. And authenticity kind of covers a wide range of things. I have an example of some fabric swatches from Kubo and the Two Strings, and how authentically they sourced Japanese materials and fabrics to make that something really special and shiny. And even you have that frame from Soul on how the Pixar animators went through and researched actual jazz piano played. And this image just of two people hugging, right, at a train station. This image tells so much of a story, even though there's no text, right? This train station implies someone's leaving. We don't know which of the two, but we know that, you know, they're going to miss each other. It looks bittersweet because of the expression on their face, but it feels real. So that sort of thing really helps round out any piece of art or storytelling that you want to do online. The next thing to consider is how to stand out in the crowd, right? There's a lot of white noise with social media, right? So anyone can join, which is great, but it also makes it hard to get out there. So I'm going to walk you through a couple steps on what you might think about to do that sort of thing. The first thing for me, and of course this is all art related and gets a little technical, but is this idea of the quick read, right? Everyone's kind of scrolling their phones at a certain rate, and it's usually pretty fast. So you got to get them right away and get them looking at, you know, get to the point quicker with your imagery, right? And this doesn't necessarily mean the drawing has to be simple, but it does mean that you have to get it right away, right? Because obviously this drawing of little Kylo in timeout there's no background, so it's pretty clear silhouette. All the details on R2-D2 are kind of driving the eye to little Kylo there. But if you look at Otto and Victoria, that's a more detailed image, but the quick read of a woman walking a pet octopus still comes across pretty quickly. And lastly, that dragon, mother dragon letting her baby dragon fly for the first time is a pretty clear image, right? I even chose to put the cloud behind the baby so that that be the area of most contrast, right? And even her wings and those mountains in the distance, everything's pointing up to that baby dragon. So these are little tools you can use in your art to really help get it to stand the test of time, time being brief. The next is clarity. And clarity goes hand in hand with the quick read, but it also, you know, is how you choose your colors, how you choose your composition. And again, it's the clarity of the idea, right? I'm a big Mandalorian fan, love seeing Boba Fett come back. Spoiler alert, but it was a great shot where he was taking out some stormtroopers, and it reminded me of a golf swing. You know, him playing golf with stormtrooper helmets. So I really wanted to make sure I cleared the deck and made everything super simple, right? And even simple things like giving things in the foreground, like the helmet, a darker outline than the background. Those clouds and the hills in the back actually have no background. So it's kind of cool that you can play with dimension even in a flat cartoony piece of art. Next one was more of a dapper crocodile, right? Imagining him enjoying some finger food, so to speak, of Captain Hook. So the clarity there is giving that pop of red to the handkerchief he's dabbing his mouth with, right? And again, A lot of using everything in the drawing to help reinforce the idea. Even the way that the tail comes back up instead of going straight out towards the back is a way to guide the viewer through the image. And lastly, with this little story about the hedgehog, which was a fable I had heard about, and just giving some clarity to how fast it's moving. There's a little detail there of just having the little bits of ground being kicked up by his feet. It's a real clear attention on my dog just entered the chat. Oh, she left. Sorry. Yay, work from home. You'll see Willow later. But just those little flecks of ground coming up help indicate the speed. Also a fun tip, if you ever want to portray something as moving super fast, running fast, that sort of thing, just pop them off the ground a little bit. Give them a little drop shadow, and it's a great shorthand to show how these characters can run fast. And lastly is point be anything. And I can really only speak to my point of view. And that is, you know, the humorous kind of mashup of pop culture, right? Which is something that I love. I love all elements, all different genres. So being able to put these things two together are my point of view. And, you know, like Alan brought up earlier with the WandaVision mashups, that was just something fun. I love Disneyland. I love Marvel, and I love the show. So why not make a Reese's peanut butter cup of all of it? But this, you know, point of view is very personal, and I bring it up as a way to stand out among the crowd, in that people know that this is what they're going to get from me, right? Something kind of fun, something colorful, definitely nostalgic, and it's a good, cool tip to kind of think about, what is it for you? What's your point of view? You know, it could be this, it could be more serious, it could be things that you are more interested in. But as long as you kind of keep it personal, keep it authentic, keep it emotional, and maybe put in a little bit of humor, you'll start to see a lot of shares, a lot of likes. But more importantly, and the secret, the real secret of this presentation is you'll be a better artist. Because that's kind of my disclaimer, is you don't want to cater your art just to an app on your phone or to a social media platform, kind of trick you all by getting you in here. But that's the real message, is you want to be a better artist. And apps will come and go, but these principles have lasted for a long time. And if you embrace them, you'll be evergreen, which is kind of cool. Next, I'm going to show you a little bit of how I took the storytelling that I was doing in my books and in movies and actually putting them into social media. I have a book coming out. It's shipping now. That's the third Otto and Victoria book, and it's called Time Traveling with Your Octopus. And my publisher and I put together a Kickstarter for it. And that Kickstarter, we really wanted to break out of the normal kind of usual person with doing a video about the book they want to make, sort of thing. So we came up with kind of a fun plan that we were going to break Kickstarter through time travel. And so what we did was, I worked with an editor and we put together this video. I'm going to play this video and then I'm going to tell you what happens next. So check this out. It's about 1.5 minutes.
Time-traveling octopus makes history with Kickstarter. Otto the octopus and his intrepid owner, Victoria Prismal, have become the first beings to voyage back in time. Where or when they'll end up is anyone's guess. But thanks to the latest advancements in quantum Kesingerian theory, we can follow their amazing journey as it happens. How, you may ask? It's simple. This little book is no ordinary periodical. No sirree Bob. It's a chrono journal, perfectly synced to Otto and Victoria's unique cosmic vibrations. Each time they leap into a new era, a snapshot of their location and time will appear on the journal's pages, allowing us to enjoy their ever-evolving temporal travels in near real time. Using cutting-edge science, the eggheads over at the Baby Tattoo Institute of the Beautifully Bizarre have been able to link the chrono journal to this very Kickstarter page. So be sure to check back each day to see how Otto and Victoria are making history in history.
I'm a sucker for stock footage and fake science dialogue. So that was kind of a dream video to put together. But this brings me to my next point, which is engagement. And how do you keep people coming back to see your work? And so we thought, oh, well, why don't we mess with, we have time travel as a story device. Why don't we bring that into the Kickstarter as well? So that we were actually changing the videos subtly each day and told our viewers to check back and see if they could catch it, right? So we're kind of thinking outside the box. I'm skipping ahead. This was day 7 of the video. So if you came to our Kickstarter page on day 7 and clicked the video, this is what you saw.
Time-traveling octopus makes history with Kickstarter. Otto the octopus and his intrepid owner, Victoria Prismal, have become the first beings to voyage back in time. Where? In quantum Kesingerian theory, we can follow their amazing journey as it happens. How, you may ask? This little book is no ordinary periodical. No siree, Bob. It's a chrono journal. Each time they leap into a new era, a snapshot of their location and time will appear on the journal pages, allowing us to enjoy their ever-evolving temporal travel.
We're sorry. Due to historical interference, this timeline has been disrupted. Our temporal technicians are currently working on the issue, but be aware that reality as you know it may begin to alter or shift. Please check back with this Kickstarter page regularly for updates and further information as we try to restore this reality's chronology.
So kind of tricky, right? It was very fun to see people's reaction, and it kept them coming back. So again, this kind of outside of the box thinking is a way to get people to pay attention and want to share it with their friends. Hey, come look and see what they're doing. Of course, when you do that sort of thing, you really got to commit to it. So by day 14, this is what the video looked like. It had completely dissolved to white. Our entire Kickstarter page was grayed out. And you couldn't actually back the project. We said that Otto and Victoria have been time traveling so much that they broke space-time continuum. And this is what the video was that day. I'll spare you. That video actually goes on for 4.5 hours. And we posted it on there and we hid a little detail, which 4 people actually found and reported back. And for their efforts, we're giving them an original piece of art. So it was a great way and a great experiment of how to engage people and new ways through social media, which leads me to my most recent project, which is Buster. And Buster was born out of an Inktober assignment where I wanted to tell a story. And I realized at that time that Instagram was really kind of changing things up with their algorithms. So it was harder to get people to see my work. So what I actually did was I made sure that almost every drawing I posted had a question and became a choose your own adventure story, so that I would have to get people commenting, which bumped it up and got it saw again, or seen rather, by more and more people. So for instance, the first post that day was asking people about, little Buster who's come to town on the train, should he go to the pier or downtown? And I gave it 24 hours and people commented, and the majority of the vote said go to the pier. So the next drawing I did was him going to the pier. This was a lot of work, by the way. Doing Inktober, which is a ink drawing every day of the month of October, is hard enough, but doing one that's going to have a narrative is harder. And then doing one that you're improvising based on people telling you on how to go is even harder. So please enjoy responsibly. I would give several prompts throughout the time. This was another one, which in which Buster was given a contract to become rich and famous, as you often are, but he didn't know whether or not he should tell the manager that the person really playing the music was his ghost friend who lives in the banjo, who haunts the banjo. So I asked the audience what he should do. Should he sign the contract and become rich and famous, or tell the truth? And I'm happy to report everyone said tell the truth, but that scared the manager off and set the path in a different story. So, and this leads into that this still had heart to it, even though it was a silly story about skeletons. And I made sure it had authenticity, in that kind of what spurred all of this was during quarantine, I've been learning how to play banjo. So it came from an authentic place of really loving the instrument and being inspired to tell a story about one. And then skipping ahead to the story, the manager catches up with the two and actually destroys their banjo. And when all is lost, through their friendship, they're rewarded by the music gods with a brand new haunted banjo, shiny and new, which behind the scenes, my publisher and I were able to coordinate the reveal of the actual haunted banjo that we were going to be able to make available to Kickstarter backers, right? So it was great to see how everything was kind of firing on all cylinders in different levels of storytelling. But then ultimately, when Aloysius, who's the ghost, was given the opportunity to move on to the afterlife, he decided to stay with Buster and play music together, which, you know, again, brings us back to this kind of nice emotional beat. And lastly, before we open it up for questions, I want to share something I'm really proud of what the project ultimately culminated to because of its engagement, because of all this interactive work. We were able to put together a live concert, and we shot a little promo video with an actual Buster marionette. So this is my first time doing a live action shoot, and I'm going to show you just a 2-minute teaser for it.
I've had my trip for a farewell trip. Kiss to the Jane, goodbye at the fountain. I'm going to say bye to the land of the sky, way out on the mountain, where the wild sheep grow and the buffalo low.
Hey there, Bone Buddy. Want to put on a show? Hey there, buddy.
And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions you might have. Like I say, I love answering and sharing what I've learned so far. So if you have any, bring them on. Thanks so much.
We've been getting a nice collection of questions, but everybody, if anybody wants to ask someone, just go ahead and drop a question for the Q&A. And as we go through them, Brian, I just want to ask, is there a certain sort of artistic certification process that comes with messing around with time travel like that people need to know?
I would say yes, to please enjoy responsibly, but also to not mess with it, because we did all that in 2019 thinking we were quite clever, and then 2020 happened. So I'm not going to take full credit for it, but yeah, best to not meddle in powers you do not fully comprehend.
That is good advice. So our first question here from Mr. Anonymous is, what has been your favorite commission piece and why?
Oh, that's a great question and a tough one. I'm going to say that probably anytime someone commissions a piece of characters that I've created are probably my favorite, because it's really touching to me that they would, of all the characters out there, right, especially with all the Star Wars characters out there, they would still want something that's personally created by me. So I'm going to say, as a blanket answer, those ones are the most special, and they usually come out pretty good.
You did a certain commission for a person in government
a
couple of years ago, didn't you?
Yeah. Sorry, another grape. Yes, I did. A certain prime minister reached out to me. It's so funny. We were just talking to the kids about this today. Back in 2015, my wife, Jenny, runs the whole operation, got a message from someone, the official photographer of the Office of the Prime Minister of Canada. And she got this email through Etsy. And the photographer wanted to commission a piece for his boss. And I assumed, some sort of middle management boss, not the boss, which it turned out to be Justin Trudeau, who is a famous sort of geeky head of state. And he wanted a portrait of his family drawn in the Calvin and Hobbes style that I do. And it was amazing. It was incredible. And I asked the person, if you could you send a photo along or some sort of letter to let me know that he received it. And if you hold on one second.
I'll tell you, it's from a family point of view, this was about the wildest thing we had ever heard. There it is.
There it is. So I got the picture back. There's the drawing I did for him, which was of his family. He and his wife dressed up as Hoth, Han, and Leia. So I put them on a tauntaun saying, "I love you, I know." And then that's their kids, and they're building Olaf. And then he signed it for Brian. Thanks for the great drawing. Great is underlined. There he is there. And even I kept the envelope because it has a royal seal there. And of course, Canada on the back. And fun fact about this is that technically when you give a gift to the Prime Minister, it becomes property of the Queen of England. So I can now say on my resume that I've illustrated art for the Queen.
No way.
It's hanging in the office of the Prime Minister's office. And so yeah, kind of cool. So That was a
Amazing.
cool commission.
Amazing. All right. And I apologize if I mess up your names. I truly do apologize. I'm terrible. It's a miracle I can say my own. But Aniki, sorry, asks, how do you have time for such an engaged feed and personal art while also working such cool jobs?
Thank you. That's a great question and an important one, because I'm able to do it because I have fun doing it. And that's something I think is really important for people to hear, young and old, that as soon as you start having trouble, or you feel like you're having a bit of a creative block, especially if it's social media related, take a break. That's your body saying you need to do something else. And that's why I have a desk full of models over there, because that's my hobby within the hobby of, when I need to take a break from drawing, I can go build a model, or I can play video games, or mix with my brother. Um, so the trick is to, do it while you're having fun, because that's the authenticity. I keep going back to that word because it doesn't just mean, did you get the right amount of pouches on Boba Fett's belt? It means, are you authentically loving what you're doing? And are you authentically enjoying what you're putting out there? Because audiences can tell. Goodness knows I've tried so hard to get my name out there as an artist, and have done a lot of things that haven't taken because I've tried to chase trends. But when I started to do something that interested me, like steampunk and creatures like octopus, that really took off. So I would say that the reason why I'm able to do what I can do is for that reason, because I make sure I'm doing it for me. And if you're doing it for you, it's very addictive and you won't be able to stop. So don't feel bad if it's not flowing. It will when it's ready to. And again, that could be when you're younger or older. But really, if you take away anything from this talk today, that's the one you should write down.
Very nice. Okay, our next question is from Jan, who loves your shirt, by the way.
Oh, yay.
With your works, have you created or considered creating educators' guides?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's pretend I don't know what an educator guide is.
Let's say, could that be maybe Educator's Guide to Arts, or I seem to remember you did something for the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Yeah, right. I haven't put together any formal curriculum yet, just because that's a lot of responsibility and I don't want to squander it. And that's something that does take a lot of time. So I'm storing a lot of this knowledge in my head, and hopefully can put something together like that. Alan and I come from a family of teachers, so we have educators in the DNA, and I love sharing my knowledge, love doing this sort of thing, but haven't put together anything formal yet. But I do hope to, yes.
Very good, very good. Okay. Jim asks, what social media posting frequency do you find has been the most effective for you?
For me, and I'll caution this again, but I do find for me daily is good. And it's usually just once a day. And I tend to do it in the morning, usually around 8 o'clock, because that's a good West Coast, East Coast time. And if I do it every day, and if there's continuity between what I'm posting, people will start to get trained to know to look. And if they're reacting to that stuff every day, the algorithms will keep showing them that stuff. That was part of why I was doing Buster drawings every day, was to keep people coming back, and I was encouraging them to share it. And another thing at the time was encouraging them to save it, there's a little bookmark icon on Instagram that apparently if people start saving stuff, that's really good too. But I found that daily posts, as long as I can swing it, are really good.
And it's one of those things, I think you make it look really easy. And I think a lot of it too has to be just like what you're being exposed to. Like, you know, an episode of The Mandalorian comes out, and then the next day you've got Baby Yoda drinking from the little frog egg canister, you know?
Yeah. And that goes because I love it so much,
Mm-hmm.
right? It inspires me so much that I just need to create. I need to be a part of it.
And the nice thing about having a really talented brother is I have no artistic ability whatsoever, but I have a lot of like dumb ideas for mashups, and you're more than willing to put those together. So that is really appreciated on my side. So
it takes a village. Sorry, it's getting dark in here. Can you still see me?
We can see you, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Beth's question, Beth says, "Hi, Brian, your work is amazing. How would you suggest an artist start to build a following if they have very few followers currently?"
It's a great question. I would say by being consistent. I like to suggest that, you know, artists kind of pick one thing that they like to draw or that they really enjoy the most and start posting that stuff regularly, right? If you're really into Star Trek, draw Star Trek stuff. If you're really into drawing still lifes, make sure you're posting still life. You basically want to get 9 of the same thing posted in a row, so that when people go to your profile, they can see what you're doing in those 9 images. Because that grid of 9 is what shows up when you look at someone's profile. So if you really want to get people to understand who you are as an artist, try to focus yourself a little bit, gain some traction there, and then you can start to open up again. But don't let it guide you, right? Like if one day you want to draw Star Trek, but the next day you want to draw Star Wars, do that too, right? Don't try to chase the dragon too much, because it'll freeze you up. But, you know, if you can be consistent, that certainly helps.
And I will say there is an empty void out there for Star Trek Captain Kirk and Star Wars Admiral Thrawn crossovers.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to get on that for me, I'd appreciate it.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
I support artists, so if anybody does that,
Yes.
I will pay you to do it. All right, so another Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous asks, how much, P. and Gwen, how much time do you set aside per day to work on these creative projects?
I work really good at night. So, and I work best when I know my family is happy and comfortable. So that's usually when they're asleep. So I'll usually do 2 to 3 hours a night. It is a discipline, right? Like it is like any sort of exercise or any sort of training. You have to do a little bit each day. And so it's not just going to magically happen. So I do put in the time in, and it's usually about 2 hours a night.
Nice. Do you find that time goes by really fast?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, it does. Like it's like, oh, is it midnight already? I got work in the morning. So yeah, mostly, especially if I'm having fun. If I'm struggling with something, it can seem like forever. But yeah, if I'm really like in the zone drawing Baby Yoda, then yeah, it flies by.
Nice. Very nice. All right. Next question. How do you overcome any nervousness, if you do have any, about posting such out of the box and varied ideas? Also, how do you deal with if it doesn't perform as well as you wanted to on social media? Great question. If you don't mind
really
me saying.
good. Really good. I take it all as a learning experience, you know? some things don't take off. And you're like, okay, well, I still enjoyed it. So I got something out of it. But I can't let it get me down. And, you know, I had a director friend, his name's Steve Anderson. He directed Meet the Robinsons. He directed Winnie the Pooh. He's a real big inspiration of mine. And he said on a podcast once, he said, you know, you can't judge yourself against other artists because there's always going to be better artists than you, but you can judge yourself against where you were yesterday. And if you do that, you'll get a lot more motivation, right? Like, I know I'm better at Copic markers now than I was last year. So I'm going to take that as a win, even though I'm not as good at them as other people are. So I think that's another trap of social media, is you follow a lot of artists you love and you're like, oh, they're so good, or why didn't I think of that? And you can't do that. Just take the inspiration and run, you know?
Yeah, that's, yeah, great question. All right. And I have a invested interest in this question. Any plans for
Yes.
some Falcon and the Winter Soldier art?
Oh, yes, definitely. The ideas, especially after the finale yesterday, when the Incredible Hulk showed up, that was
Yeah, oh man,
no spoilers. Sorry.
yeah. And when
Okay.
Wolverine came in,
Oh yeah,
wow.
I can't believe they revealed the X-Men and all that stuff. Seemed late.
That did not happen. That did not happen. No spoilers. No spoilers. That did not happen. But wouldn't it have been awesome if it did?
Right. But yes, Winter Soldier stuff incoming. Keep your eyes up on your left. It's on its way.
Great. Got a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
This one, I am curious to hear your answer. If you can make an anime or a manga, how would it look and what would it be?
Oh, that's cool. I would do a Baymax only manga. And
nice.
I would do it, probably him taking care of Mochi. And it would be like incredibly like slice of life, just Baymax taking care of a cat.
That would be awesome. As speaking for all librarians who have cats, that would be a hit.
Yeah. I pitched the idea of doing a Baymax comic to Marvel, at least a one shot, and I haven't heard back from them. So I'll
clearly,
maybe.
Clear, yeah, but clearly that's phase 6 level stuff. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The drawing room comedy.
Great. And I believe for our last question, do you use hashtags in your social media posts?
Yes, but I use them responsibly. You know, I tend to keep it to like 3 or 4, and I keep them as broad as possible. So I'll say hashtag Star Wars, as opposed to, you know, hashtag Rise of Skywalker or hashtag Phantom Menace. But I will say, if you have your own artwork, use your own hashtag, because it's really a great way for people who are joining you kind of in progress to click on something that says hashtag Haunted Banjo, and then they can see. So that, I say, be very specific with, because you're kind of carving out a space for yourself. If I were to just use hashtag Banjo, then it would get lost again. But Haunted Banjo had some more openings. So I'd say cast a wide net with the big hashtags like character designer or animation. Also, if there's an event going on, like when Star Wars Celebration was going on, I made sure to use that hashtag. Or if Comic-Con is going on, E3, anything related to the subject matter you're drawing. In fact, when I was doing, this was a great insight from my publisher. As I was doing the Haunted Banjo posts, there was a bluegrass festival going on, which we use a hashtag of, and got us the attention of a banjo maker that actually sponsored the story.
That's
So
awesome.
you never know what sort of connections you'll be able to make uh, through social media, and just be open to it, you know.
Mhm.
But don't give your art away for free.
Mhm.
That's the other important message. Do not do art for exposure. That's, you know, you can't pay bills with exposure, and it
No.
doesn't just lessen your value, it lessens your other artist friends values,
Mhm.
right? So we all got to band together and work for pay, not exposure. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be open to collaboration. uh so yeah, sorry, I'll get off the soapbox.
No, 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 please. We like soapboxes. They're very sturdy.
Right, and so
That and soapy, yes. That's why you gotta wash them out first.
right.
So you know what? I said one last question, but I think this is a really good question because it comes up a lot, I think.
Yeah,
Um and oop, wait, I think I missed it. Um oh, okay, yeah, here it is.
they
B
changed their mind.
Winks, they changed their minds. I would like to work for exposure. No. B Winks 92 Art asks, what's a good strategy to post original content with fan art to gain a stronger following on your page?
Can you say that one last time?
Of course. What's a good strategy to post original content with fan art to gain a stronger following on your
Oh,
page?
right. So yes, I definitely do this, right? This is little Kylo, right? And I will say little Kylo came from pure love and authenticity and humor, and the quick read, right?
Mhm.
So like that was something that I did because I loved Force Awakens when I saw it so much that I had to just come home and draw little Ray sliding down the sand dune with BB-8 like Calvin and Hobbes. And then it went viral and crazy, and I got 60,000 new followers in 1 week based off of that image, which is crazy.
I remember that. And you were trending on Facebook for like an entire day when
Yes,
Facebook was doing trends.
right. And was like on the front page of Reddit,
Mhm,
the Hollywood Reporter,
mhm.
Variety. Like it was crazy. If it was a movie, it would be a second act montage, right? Of like set to like some weird music, but
Yeah.
to saber dance. Um, but yeah, I'm losing the point. Oh, so it's a great way to get out there because people love mashups, they love pop culture. And if you're doing it with the same level of love and care that you're doing your original art, they'll stick around. Because I got scared as I was doing a bunch of little Kylo and Star Wars art, and I saw my numbers rising. That as soon as I posted an Otto and Victoria drawing, where was everyone going to scatter and leave? But no, in fact, they stayed because they saw the same level of thinking. They saw the same clarity, the same point of view, and they realized, oh, this is something I like. And so it's something we started to do at Disney a while back, where we alternated our princess movies with movies like Wreck-It Ralph,
Mhm.
where we give them something we know they would like, right? Like Princess and the Frog or Rapunzel. And then we say, hey, but check this out. What about a movie about video games, which wouldn't necessarily be a Disney uh, fans' idea of a movie at first, but then they came along, right? And we
Mhm.
do the same. We do Moana, and then we do Zootopia. So I treat treat your posts like a big studio would treat their release late. Just alternate and find a balance. And it may take a while to find that balance, but once you do, people stick around.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. Well, Brian, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and talk with us.
Thank you.
Before we sign off, though, would just like to announce our raffle winners
Oh yes,
for our prizes.
exciting.
It's very exciting. Drum roll, please. But
Hold on, I'll give you a little banjo roll.
yes, there we go. Give us a roll.
Give us a
Some
roll.
hammer-ons and pull-downs, or whatever they're called. There we go. So the winner for the graphic novel A Thief Among Trees goes to Brittany. Congratulations, Brittany.
Yay.
The graphic novel for Welcome to Wonderland is going to Layla. I'm sorry if I'm saying the last name wrong. I'll say them both. But this goes to Layla Bernstein or Bernstein. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names.
Hey.
And then our final prize, the WandaVision Haunted Mansion mashup, goes to Otis. Congratulations,
Yay.
Otis, Brittany, and Layla. I'm posting in the chat. What you want to do is go ahead and email us at library programs at Mission Viejo Library, missionviejo.org. For some reason, that email doesn't seem right to me. So Allison, maybe you can help me out. But basically, the same email that, let me see here. For some reason, that's just sticking out as wrong to me. I don't know why. Maybe because it's Saturday and who knows what's going on. Nope, I was right. It is library programs at cityofmissionviejo.org. So once again, Brittany, Layla, and Otis, please respond to us at that email address so we can get your prizes to you. And just a couple other things here. I had it queued. Yes, congratulations to all the winners.
Yay.
If you want to purchase any of the titles that have come up from our authors during Comic Fest, I'm passing on a link to Creating Conversations. That link will take you to a page where you can purchase some of the titles that have been discussed during Comic Fest. Brian, what is your website in case people want to check you out and buy your stuff?
Thank you. It's briankessinger.com.
Easy.
Easy. The only thing I will warn you is just to make sure you put, it's one S in Kessinger.
Yes.
Alan can attest to that's a common mistake. But yes, briankessinger.com will have everything.
You'll also find a link to his website on our program page for Comic Fest. Speaking of which, you want to check out that page because we list tomorrow's events for the 25th. At 4 o'clock, we have Writing for Comics with Nicole Adelfinger, Jackie Ball, and Marv Wolfman, which will be very exciting. And then at 6:30, we have Women Writing Genre Fiction with Gretchen McNeil and Zoraida Cordova. Zoraida Cordova wrote a Star Wars book not too long ago, the Galaxy's Edge one. So,
right. Yeah. That's
so the if you want to sign up for those workshops, it's pretty much the same way that you signed up for this one. Just send an email and we to our Comic Fest, to library programs at cityofmissionviejo.org, and we will get you set up. Once again, those programs start at 4 o'clock with Writing for Comics with Nicole Adelfinger, and then 6:30 with Women Writing Genre Fiction. So once again, Brian, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who came out today to come and listen to Brian talk about some really great stuff. And if you are interested in getting a recording of this event, we're expecting recordings to be going up sometime next week through our online. So I want to say possibly our Facebook and hopefully the city's YouTube account. Brian, do you have got any last words before we all sign off?
First off, thank you. And thank you to everyone who came. And just a final, and I know I keep hitting it, but do the art for yourself. Social media is wonderful. It's a great thing. And I know it's kind of a clickbaity title that I gave you there, but make sure you're drawing for yourself and keep learning, and find friends that you can share your art with and be critical with in a constructive way, because that's going to make you so much better and so much more hireable. is that ability to take and receive notes, apply it to your work, and get stronger. So that's it. You're all amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Once again, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Allison, for helping me out tonight.
Yes,
And
thank you, Allison.
once again, thank you all so much. And we will see you for tomorrow, our final session for the Mission Viejo Library Comic Fest. So have a good night, everybody. Take
Yay.
care, be awesome, and be creative.
Great.
Playing us out, playing us out.
Exit music. Exit music.